It's 26 degrees Celsius here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily, your daily dose of sunshine. I'm Maokwe Ogu Yusuf.
Yes, it's a sunny day after that rain of yesterday. Good morning and welcome to the program. I'm Kayla Magwa. We have quite a conversation to have this morning. We're going to be looking at politics and then, of course, catching up on some of the major stories going on around the world. We were talking about the case in the UK and the acquittal, I think that's what it's called, of Diezani Alison Madueke. We've seen her celebrating on social media and a lot of people talking about that case and bringing back the memories of the things that happened at the time when that story broke here in the country, and all of the questions around how we've been able to handle an accountability when it comes to people in public office. So yes, that question is still up in the air and a lot of conversation around this particular judgment going on right now, especially on social media.
Well, you know, Kayla, it was quite an interesting one when that story broke yesterday, when we saw that the UK, a Southwark Crown Court in the UK, has now acquitted the former Minister of Petroleum on all 6 charges brought against 6 charges of bribery brought against her. We understand one of them is 5 charges, and then 1 on embezzlement of funds. She was acquitted by a jury in a Southwark Crown Court. And it was quite an interesting one because, Kayla, I imagine that if that were to be a verdict returned here in Nigeria, there might be speculations around, was it a political decision? Was it a, hey, I don't think a lot of people take, I don't think that there's a lot of distrust around UK courts and what exactly could have influenced this particular decision. I believe that the jury must have taken its decision based on the evidence before them. So there'll be questions as to, will this be appealed by British authorities, or do they think that that decision was reached based on all the evidences that they had presented before them? Whatever it is, I do believe that the minister will still have a hard time, because let's not forget that the UK leg of her trial is one. There, she also has a case to answer here in Nigeria, where authorities have also confiscated assets, properties, worth billions of naira right here within this Nigerian jurisdiction. So I believe that it will seem that she's scored a very strong victory at the moment, and certainly gives her leverage, or could give her leverage perhaps within the Nigerian judicial system. But I do not know how much leverage she'll have in the court of public opinion. Do you think that the Nigerian people will be accepting of this particular verdict?
I was listening to her yesterday, and she was talking about, you know, how she had been going through this for 11 years and how it's been hard for her, her family, and, you know, 11 years, but this is a woman that the Nigerian public already believes that she's guilty in many circles. For the Nigerian public, they're listening to the UK court and thinking, what? Because we looked at all of those things for so long and made our decision as a people. So that public opinion, I don't know how she's going to wade that particular storm. But it is a storm still coming, and the Nigerian people have not forgotten. They're still asking for accountability. How did this happen? What happened exactly? And who are we supposed to hold responsible for the theft of our common patriarchy? So it's a very important conversation that's ongoing right now, and one that will unfold very soon, I believe.
Indeed, Kayla, we certainly will keep tabs on that story. But in the meantime, we'll have to accept the court. We always say this, that no one is guilty until they're proven so by court, a competent court, and clearly I want to believe that Nigerians can accept that the Southwark Crown Court in the United Kingdom was certainly competent when it reached a decision to acquit Mrs. Diezani Alison Madueke. So we'll look towards the Nigerian court and see how she's able to wade through the allegations right here as well, and we'll certainly be bringing it to you when eventually that happens. But beyond that, we'll also be looking at social matters. We've seen a community in Festac town stand up for their rights and ask the federal government to wade in, because they say that property that is common to all of them are now being taken over by individuals whom they are not sure of, and that these properties are being sold we'll clarify who is selling the property and to whom it's being sold, but they are certainly raising concern that common areas such as the sewage treatment facility, the play areas, the green areas, and you know, Kayla, it's a real big deal, because right now I'm beginning to wonder, you would think that ideally government would set out a plan which had an ideal master plan for an area such as Festac, even in other places where we come up with these grand plans when we do the town planning arrangements, that areas should have parks, should have green spaces, should have common areas, and that, governments will continue to protect that right for those who live in those kinds of communities. But it is very sad to see that oftentimes it is government that does the breach. And it's I think it's very heartwarming to see this community in Festac
standing up for themselves.
Exactly, organizing themselves and standing up for themselves.
No matter how we plan towns. I mean, the Abuja Master Plan, for instance. It's a beautiful, beautiful idea.
Yeah.
And we see that even in Lagos, beautiful idea of how a town is supposed to be planned with all of these things that you mentioned in place for not just for the beautification of the place, but for the well-being of the people who live in those areas. There's a reason why towns are planned that way. All it takes, Malkwe, is one person who doesn't care.
Who doesn't care?
When you have one person who doesn't care about how things are supposed to look, doesn't care about the well-being of people, only thinks about how to make money from spaces. Once they see any cubic meter, they're thinking of what to build and how to charge people for what they're going to build. All it takes is one person without a conscience who doesn't care about the people for these things, these grand plans to be destroyed. But this matter in Festac, the people are insisting that they will not give up their space and they would ensure that whoever it is that's trying to take their homes from them will be made to face the music. And I think we should take a look at what they're saying.
Indeed, because our correspondent Chris Lems went to Festac town when they had a protest to bring this issue to light, and he covered it. They'll be joining us after we've listened to this report shortly after we've taken it. We will take a break at this point, and when we come back, we'll certainly be joined by one of the residents there. He is not just a resident, but also the president of the Take Back Festac Amuwo movement, and he'll be joining us on this program. Please stay with us. Mr. Valentine Oduebo joins us now. He's the president of Take Back Festac Amuwo, and it's good to have you on the program with us this morning, Mr. Valentine. I'm just a little curious as to how you were able to organize residents around this general cause of taking back your town.
Good morning. You see, like you rightly said, we're not just ordinary citizens, we're property owners as well. We're not just ordinary residents, we're property owners. And our parents brought us here way back 77. But before I go into your question, let me correct this narrative. You see, the MD of FHA came on the live media stream, and he said the sewage facilities in Festac have been abandoned since 1978. I mean, let me correct that narrative for him. But probably it's not a Festac man. You see, as at 1977, when our parents moved in, for over 30 years, we never had trucks coming to evacuate sewages or, take anything out of Festac. It runs underground. Even as at 1990, when Babangida came to inspect Festac, it was the beauty of the world. Babangida has a home in Festac. We don't have a drainage system in Festac. Let me tell you how it works, my dear. You see, the drainage facility is such that its propensity to discharge the physics is based on when there's a blockage. When you flush your house in your various homes, it goes underground to the canals and to the buffer zone. And when there's a blockage, that's when you go to this facility to ensure that, look, it is being excavated, or there's a blockage that you can easily discharge and allow flow. But even as at 30, 40 years, we have not had this issue of blockage. Sort of recently, when this property when I started selling this buffer zone, they now become a blockage. If rain falls in Festac for 100 years, you never see any water around, nothing. But in recent times, because of this incident sales of all these foreign facilities, we have had blockages. Again, it also comes where he said that Festac during the 1978, that is untrue. And again, he said the plan of Festac came in 1979, that's also untrue.
Mr. Valentine, I think that you're responding to a question I haven't asked. Just a moment, Mr. Valentine, if you can hear me, Mr. Oduebo.
No, let me go to your question. Let me
hear me? Can you hear
Why
me?
I was able, you see, we were able to come together.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. We were able to come together because it was an holistic damage to all of us. Our homes were being damages, and they were a threat to our sanity. So bringing people together for a common cause that will benefit humanity wouldn't take anybody anything. We came together under the aegis of Take Back Festac because it's our own. And it was an agreeable resolution by all of us that, look, let us salvage the remains of this Festac. So coming together wasn't much of a tax for most of us parents. No, it wasn't.
All right. Just before we go there, I was about to continue something else, but let me quickly go back a bit, because some of the allegations that you have made is that green areas have been sold. Green areas, the sewage facility, etc., etc. So let's go back to the initial allegation. How did you come to the conclusion that those areas have been sold? Did you see development on them? How were you able to verify that? Because I do know that when our correspondent, Chris Elems, visited the protest, you were not naming any names. You say, when the time is right, we will name names. So how did you get to that conclusion?
Okay, thank you. Let me first of all give you an empirical evidence on this. At one point in time, so my people called me that there was a man who owns an eatery called Meswan. He was filling a sewage system. We rushed there, and lo and behold, they had dropped over 2 trucks of sand to fill the depth. You know, the depth of the sewage is over 50 feet. Nothing blocks it. So we got to him. Why are you filling a drainage that means for the whole community? He said, and I quote him, that he had paid the MD 100 million for this facility on 5th Avenue by 2nd Avenue Junction. I called the MD and I told him that this man said he paid you 100 million for a sewage facility. And the MD told me, and I quote, and he said, which means whatever anybody that owns a smart house, you should stay with it. And moreover, he told me that the money wasn't paid, he must pay the federal government. And I said, how? How would we sit back and watch a facility of that magnitude, of that high efficiency being sold for 100 million? The man said it to me, and I called the MD to confirm for me that see what was alleged about you. And he said if the man had paid, he had paid to the MD, to the federal government, and I laughed over it. So you can imagine that's an evidence of 100 million being paid to FHA on that facility on 2nd Avenue by 5th Avenue Junction.
All right. Tell us more about the green areas.
If you go to 23 road, you see a document that was, there were people that were supposed to do a construction there. If you go there, there was a document that was written on the paper that this area was not allocated. But yet, somebody had paid money, MTN had paid money to come and erect a mast there. I'm not saying the erection of the mast is not something we will allow. But you see, it should go through the due process. Festac has constitution. Festac has a blueprint. Festac has a plan. Festac has law. You don't just come from anywhere and just decide to turn the laws around and like do whatever pleases you only for the sake that you're looking for money. No, people live here. Festac was created for the low earner. Our parents were low earners, civil servants, to have a life, to have a home. That's the design of Festac. It wasn't actually meant for the bourgeois and all of that. It's for the civil servants to have a way, to have a home, shelter over their head. And if you start selling everywhere, what becomes of us?
Well, I do believe that, Kela, you want to intervene at this point, because from what he's been saying, clearly they have had engagement with the FHA. With the FHA.
And, you know, just so we can situate that, we've tried to get the FHA on this program. In fact, we were supposed to have him, I'm trying to get the exact date, we're supposed to have him, I think, on Tuesday. Yes, so we invited the MD of the FHA. He was meant to join the program. He postponed, called again yesterday, and the call was declined. So that is our update on getting the FHA here on the program. But let's get to it. A few of the major things, the central sewage system, and I'm seeing the protesters that multi-decade sewage facilities, especially the critical nodes located at the 5th Avenue by 2nd Avenue Junction, 41 Road, 4th Avenue and 7th Avenue, and according to you and the people, your other members, they're being sold off and dismantled. And then the public water reservoir, that's another issue that community stakeholders are demanding a forensic probe into the sale of this historic Festac reservoir. Then, of course, the environmental degradation that this is going to cause, decades-old trees that you say have acted as the lungs, the green lungs of Festac for half a century. So they're being felled to clear land for private developers, causing rapid destruction of local parks and green spaces. So your appeal is to the presidency. So let me hear from you, Mr. Valentine. What exactly, because we've seen the protests, we've seen all of you speak up about this, we've seen the back and forth between yourself and the MD of FHA. What do you want exactly to be done? And are you channeling your complaints to the appropriate authorities at this moment?
Thank you very much. Let me pick it in between. Let me first of all disabuse your mind from felling trees to clear way for those places to be sold. That's untrue. The trees that were being cut down is not in an attempt by any way to make way for people to buy those land. Okay. That's untrue. Okay. Now, let me go to the one that is true. The waterworks in 22 Road Junction by 32 Road, that waterworks, as of 3 years ago, was still functioning. Let me also tell you, when I met the zonal manager of FHA, the immediate past one, he told me, and I quote him, that as at some time, they had a renovation of that waterworks, and water was being dispensed to everybody in there. People opened their taps and they found water 3 years ago. 22 Road, 511, 52 Road, all those areas had water as of 3 years ago running in their homes. But the reason why they had to shut it down was like they felt and they assumed that the people were not ready to pay for the billing of the water. They shut it down. So it was so shocking to me when I heard Honorable Yetudo just said the waterworks had been abandoned for years and people carted away with the equipment. That's very untrue, sir. You know, sir, 3 years ago, people had water in their homes in the waterworks. Let me tell you the truth. As at when we tested June 5th, 2025, I tell you for a fact that place was being barricaded by heavily armed policemen. And at mid-morning, we see them cutting away equipment. Just last year here, around June, July last year, people were cutting away equipment under the supervision of heavily armed security agencies. So waterworks was functioning as of 3 years ago. And when we asked, they will tell us that it was sold. Who bought it? The same Mr. President. It is very untrue. People sell things of that nature that had serious, health implications to our lives. No. That's the plan. And let's also take you back to where you said some of these facilities.
Yes.
Look, madam, the world is hearing us. Let us be very honest here. We're in the public domain. No lies. You see, the recent activity of FHA has been totally inhumane, with all due respect. You see, let me tell you, Festac has a proper processes by which people act. You see, the consent fee has a way by which, they charge ounce of 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. But this new MD that came, I think it came with a rage. It came with a vendetta.
Mr. Valentine, hold on a second.
I don't even know what it came with.
Yeah, hold on a second, Mr. Valentine, just so we can balance this out. Mr. Oyetunde Ojo, who's the MD FHA. We're still sending out this invitation. If you're watching us at this invitation, I know you had a media chat on Monday, but just another invitation so you can come and balance out what it is that Mr. Valentine is telling us this morning. But Mr. Valentine, to my question directly, which is your complaints, where have you channeled your complaints to as we speak? Are we talking about the Lagos state government? Because I see you're calling on the president to wade into the matter, but there's process to getting redress if you feel like you've been slighted. In what ways have you, engaged the channels that can get you what you need?
Okay, you see, Section 40 of the Constitution of Nigeria affords all of us a right to association, a right to union, and a right to whatever. It is except that association impairs on the other people's right that becomes an offense. On that premise, we formed what they call Take Back Festac, as we have a right as residents to form an association that we feel will send our message clearly. Now, we have had opportunities to send. Let me even tell you, the MD of FHA was even on that platform. He exited himself based on one or two things. Of course, that's an issue. Now, we have channeled our issues through the same FHA. We have called on them that, look, even I had to go to FHA myself. And let me also tell you, the town planning man and all of the people followed me out to do some inspections, which of course they were overwhelmed at what I investigated and what I found out. You see, but the truth that happened to be, this is the truth. When we complain, the FHA will tell us that they can't do anything, that is MD, that is Abuja, And we wonder what is going on. We are here, you're pointing out to Abuja for us. We have on several occasions, we've had this protest not once, not twice. In fact, let me also tell you that this protest was what brought about 2nd Avenue, 7th Avenue, and 1st Avenue road that is going on right now. See, complain orally, to these people, they feel, things could be done. I should also tell you, the man said in Abuja, as regards your question, when he said maybe you have not channeled it, he sits in Abuja there, the PRO to FHA. He sits there, doesn't know what is going on. And there is an association that FHA himself formed for themselves, probably to lip service them, and that's the FTRA with all due respect. And if I come to that one, if I say things about that one, some people will be arrested. But let's leave that for another day. You see, the point is this, and the answer is this. We have channeled this, our grievances, even to the local government chairman, who in turn said he had called him. I had even called Yojo himself and said, look, Oga, this is what is going on. He said, whatever. It baffles us to find out that nobody seems to care about our life. It's about money. Why? And at the end of the day, you tell us that these are the things we need to do, and these are the things we don't need to do. We have channeled our grievances to all these authorities that kept deaf ears. And I think in Nigeria, or in the country that I am, I think the best way to get your message out to the world is a peaceful protest. It's a protest is constitutional. It is when it is violent and it becomes unconstitutional. We are parents here. Almost of us are above 60 and thereabout. We are channeling our grievances now again through a very peaceful machine in this protest, because every other medium has failed. You send them text, you go to them, they shut their doors and tell you, go to Abuja. Where is that done?
Well, Mr. Valentin, have you thought about maybe you should go to Abuja? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about the fact that, okay, well, if everyone is pushing you around, why don't you go to the main? Why don't you come to Abuja and get that done? The state governor, for instance, because I'm listening to you, your complaints, your written complaints have only gone to FHA. So why not escalate? You don't think it's time for you to...
If it's the escalation you are saying now, if not this escalation,
no, I meant official escalation, not protest. Protests are great, and I agree with you. It's a great way for people to see that you're upset. But there's process. So if you've protested and written to FHA, why don't you appeal to the state government? We have a ministry for housing. There's so much that can be done away from where you are right now. Is that something that you're thinking about, Mr. Valentine?
Yeah, you see, we can't be running to Abuja for an issue that happens in Lagos. There's a zonal office in 202 here who will go to. They want to, to transmit the matter to Abuja. And moreover, the MD also come to Festac. We can't leave Festac and go to Abuja for an issue that concerns us in our own private domain here. So if everybody runs to Abuja, we pay flight ticket, we enter a vehicle, what do you expect? On safe road? No, I think the best way, that's why you see, federal government has done a very good job. They have zonal offices in all the federal housing estates. We have one in 202 here, which we go to, but when you go there, they'll tell you go to Abuja. We cannot go to Abuja. We have come to you. And if you think you cannot transmit our issues to Abuja, we do a peaceful protest, which of course we continue. This is not the first, second, and third. We will continue this process. And we're even planning to go and occupy FHA building. We're going to occupy the place. If you need to arrest us, no issue. We are law-abiding citizens. We're respected people. We are civil servants. And we contribute to the DP of this country. We will occupy FHA until the president comes. And I'm very optimistic the president will hear us. He will hear us and he will help us. Because we cannot sit like this and watch this beautiful town go into ruins. Next year is Festac at 50. What are you celebrating? Festac is disarray? No, now, come on, please now. Let's be sincere once in this society. We will occupy FHA.
Why we share your optimism that the president is listening and will do something about it. I want to ask, this protest, what has it done so far, this particular awareness that you have raised? Have you received any response, any positive response to achieve the results that you desire?
The first protest we had brought let me tell you that Mr. President is hearing loud and clear. That man likes to listen. That Mr. President loves to listen to people. Yeah, I was with him in Lagos. Let me tell you, when we had our protest June 5th last year, 2 days after, Mr. President directed the MD of FEMA to immediately move into action and go and do 44th Avenue Road. He directed the governor to immediately take over the road. We saw his action. We saw that he listened. We know he will listen. I'm on channels. Channels is not a small 10-cover television. The whole world is watching. Mr. President is watching. Maybe he's having a nap. Maybe he's busy, but he will be reminded and look at what is going on. Or there will be a replay to him. We know this man, Mr. President Lament. He listens, he watches. He may be slow to talk, but he listens and he watches and he will react. And one of the things we know he doesn't tolerate is extortion. He doesn't tolerate it.
Mr. Oduebo, as I said, we share your optimism and we want to share your optimism. However, since you did this protest, just a moment, I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
He's the son-in-law to Mr. President. And on that basis, maybe you shouldn't need to ride on us. In a meeting with FTRA, it was alleged, because some of the members are also our members, it was alleged that the man said, I am a son-in-law to Mr. President, meaning, since you are the son-in-law to Mr. President, that means you can sell everywhere and do whatever you want to do, and nothing will be done. Hell no.
Just a moment. Let's put that out there. A moment, Mr. Oduebo. You've said a lot of things. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, my dear. I can.
The communication you have to calm down so that we can, get this information and we're not, talking over each other. You just said something now.
Sorry.
The chairman of the FHA, or the managing director of the FHA, is the president's son-in-law. Is that correct?
Yes, he is.
Okay. So I'd like to confirm, I just want to double check with you, that has anything been done since this protest was organized?
This recent protest, well, the sites we visited, we have foot soldiers, some of our children that we send around. They've gone around these sites, and we've noticed that since this protest, we've not seen activities ongoing. Even though they started building, but since this protest, we have not seen them return to site. We put people on ground to snap or to get a video clip of anybody entering there to continue work. But so far, we've not seen anybody, which means the protest has gotten reasonable and significant attention of the government.
All right, we will continue to keep tabs with you, especially with developments around Festac. And we hope to also hear from the managing director of the FHA, whom you say is the president's son-in-law. You have said the president has a listening ear. It's unclear whether the son-in-law also follows suit in that regard. But we certainly will be keeping tabs on this matter. Thank you so much for speaking with us this morning, Mr. Valentine Oduebo, who is the president of Take Back Festac Amuwo. Thank you once more. We'll be taking a look at political matters and other developments that have now come up in our polity. Please stay with us. The ruling of the Court of Appeal on the lower court, as well as Justice Peter Lifo and his decision in the lower court yesterday or 2 days ago, has continued to generate ripples, and we're looking at that particular matter with Mr. Peter Ame, who is the acting national chairman of the CUPP. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Good morning. Pleasure to be with you.
Yes, I'm sure we're listening intently to some of the reasons why we have politicians in office, why we elect political actors to be able to attend to the needs and aspirations of people, but sometimes that gets lost, and we just thought we had to take that first before we take a look at the deregistration of political parties. I'm unsure how that ruling of the lordships at the Court of Appeal hit you yesterday when you heard that they decried or denounced the judicial rascality of a judge of the lower court. What were your thoughts as to, because we always hear political actors talk about how our judges need to sit up, the judicial system needs to give justice. Did you think that was justice?
It was justice. For me, I must commend the appeal court. It's not the first time. In 2020, the appeal court also stayed the deregistration of political party and went ahead, to be able to, at the time, we had the INEC chairman who was very hostile to multi-party democracy. I remember I had a meeting with Yakubu then, and when he talked about deregistration, we discussed and insisted he was going to deregister political parties. We went to court, at the Federal High Court, and there was a stay of execution. In spite of the stay of execution, he still went ahead to deregister the parties. Then when we got to appeal court, the Court of Appeal clearly said that what the commission did was very wrong, and that the parties should be returned, without any delay. But the party went to, INEC went to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court further did the decision. Till today, that judgment has not been released to the public, because the court knows as soon as you stiffen political participation, as soon as you start to reduce the level of inclusive drive for political participation, you will create a system, a restrictive system that will not allow for proper engagement in the system. Because what do? You create the Section 225A was created under the leadership of Saraki Bukola Saraki. We wrote to them. We met Ekweremadu, who was the chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee, several times. I'm telling him, this, whatever you are doing, we affect multiplicity of political party management system. And he felt that, oh, they should go back to the days where there were two parties. I said, no, there's no democracy in the world that operates on two parties. In 2012, the INEC went ahead to deregister some parties, even while the IPAC chairman was selling on Shitu Mohammed. Some members went to court. The court reversed it. What we all eyes should be now is at the Supreme Court. Because I think the Supreme Court tends to want to favor a political decision and without looking at the law. Because if you look at what we have today, if those who parties are using ADC today, using NDC and other parties, if the court has not intervened and people who have promoted two-party system, they won't have same party to use today. So the decision of Justice Peter Lifu was a disrespect to the order of the Court of Appeal that said there should stay execution of any other action. Yeah, so as we did highlight yesterday, and we'll continue to highlight, the decision of their lordships was not based on the matter itself, but based on the fact that the judge of a lower court went ahead to give judgment when the matter was before their lordships, which was him not respecting the hierarchy of courts. So that particular matter is still in contention as to when will INEC, or when can INEC exercise its powers as enshrined in the Constitution to deregister political parties, because I'm sure you will also agree that we cannot just have an endless multiplicity of political parties just because we can, and that it's not exactly while we want to encourage political participation to have you know, so many political parties that now begin to confuse the voters rather than encourage them. It's certainly not helpful to our democracy. I think I totally disagree with you. If you look at South Africa, you can get the number of political parties that are in South Africa. You can get the number of political parties that's even in America. Yes, you could have access to ballot in America, like for the presidential election, but that does not mean you should reduce the number of people who participate in the process. It's expanding this process. For so if we have 200 political parties and all of them I'm getting to a point to you. If you look at Section 40, paper. What does Section 40 say? Yeah. It says that Nigerians, we have the right to participate, to belong to a trade union, an association or a political party that protect their interests. So party could be formed, party should not be formed for purposes of, you know, only trying to win the election. Party should also be there to canvass opinion, to promote communal coexistence, to promote world peace, to promote a lot of things. Do they have to be political parties? Can they be NGOs? I need to tell you, no, the political party is different. Yes. Political parties are critical _1 stakeholder in the political process. You see us as civil society organizations. Indeed. And political party, you can have political activism even within political parties. Yes, it's true. You know, there's a point you just made now that political parties are not just there to win elective positions. But some people will disagree with that. No, they canvass for votes. They will promote votes. It's a fundamental thing that differentiates them from being civil society organizations. It is because the winner takes it all, and you think that winning is the only reason why you can entrench democracy in Africa. No. I'm trying to get to a point. In Section 4040 has said that. Yes. This Section 225A is endemic to free speech, to multi-party participation, and to democracy. No country in the world deregister political party. It was only done in the military era. We are back to the military days. You don't deregister political party because people have a reason to belong to to believe in a manifesto, a policy of a party that align with their interests. Mr. Ahmed, can you honestly, you used to be in charge of IPAC. Yes, I was 2-time secretary of IPAC, 2-time chairman of IPAC. Can you honestly say to us here that there aren't people who open up political parties for the purpose of negotiations? What negotiation? No, there are people who open up, who start political parties because someone wants them to divide votes somewhere. No. I do not agree. I need to explain. You don't think that happens at all? You need to give me some time to explain this to you. Okay, explain it. If you go to Section 223, there are procedures for political party management and how it is formed. That requirement is political party are only supposed to be able to give a mandate to an individual responsibility to join a political party. Political party does not take any naira from the government. They self-fund themselves. It's an entity that self-fund himself, that self-operate, and with self-succession authority. So you cannot say that these parties are formed to divide vote. There are people who join the ruling party to undermine democracy. There are people who join opposition to do that. These are personal decisions. But for political party as an entity, we must know the purpose of which political party were allowed to be formed. If you continue to restrict and conscript the space, you will find out that you will leave the national chairman and national executive leaders of the party to people who have money. Today, there's more restriction for political party formation in Nigeria.
Is going on. It's still
with 50 million naira, you have to pay for you to register a political party.
It's still going on. A lot of your colleagues are opening up, doing all of these things just to raise money.
No, today a court party has an access. Today, NDC is there. Today, you have a process that even the APM is having governors. Today, you have a process where other parties that you could not hear, the SDP has a presidential candidate. Today, these are the reasons why parties are formed, so that people can align with those who can give them opportunity.
Do you think it is important for political parties to be viable? Because I remember when that case happened years ago. You were here.
I was really participating, and I was on this show.
I remember you were on this program as well. You were very upset when that happened. But the conversation at the time, and I think that's a conversation that's coming up right now again, the viability of a political party. Is this a real political party? And because of the proliferation and the abuse, hold on a sec, because the propensity for abuse, INEC, in their wisdom, came up with guidelines and say, okay, these are the criteria. If you don't meet this criteria, then you have to leave. We have to deregister you. You don't think that that is the right thing to do to create sanity in this political space?
Well, there's already sanity. Where is the inside? Where do you look? This provision was not even made by INEC. It wasn't proposed by INEC. It was proposed by those in power who felt irritated by the fact that people have a voice, that people have the opportunity to express themselves. I told you it was created under the leadership of Bukola Saraki. Korimadu was the chairman of the review committee at the time, Constitutional Review Committee. We met with him. We discussed with him. They see party management and party managers as irritant, and that it should only be for the bourgeoisie, for the big boys. I am telling you that the more ADC, my friend Chief Rafoke, he has been my friend for over 20 years. We have been very close. It's like another brother to me. He formed that party for many years. Nobody, how many times did you hear of that party? Lekabejide came and won. It was a platform created for opportunity. And when the people now came and said they were joining, they had a platform. If you restrict it to two-party system and the government in power choke up one, where are you going to?
But that's the thing, you're doing that thing where it's either this or that. No, they're not trying to make it.
It's about choice.
No, INEC didn't say, no, we only want a two-party system. What you're saying is that the ones that are taking part in the process have to be viable.
But you are driving to that process. You are driving to that stage. If you continue to allow Section 258 to be the judgment for party existence, then you are driving to that point, because Section 258 is not the only requirement. When you are registering political party, they ask you, you must have a national headquarters in Abuja. You must have two-thirds office in two-thirds of the state.
Yes.
They have tried this several times.
25% of votes.
We are standing on these promises that what people like Gani Fayemi did, people like Balarabe Musa did. We were young when we joined these people. We were young when we saw how they pushed for multi-party democracy. There was a time in this country where INEC wanted to charge citizens who are contesting the election to pay nomination form to them. It was people like Balarabe Musa and Gani Fayemi that stood against those plans. Today we will not sit down here and also agree that the reason for party formation is about division. No, it's about promoting inclusive democracy. It's about allowing people to have a voice, people to have a choice, and people to have the opportunity to participate in whichever party that protects their interests. Because you don't have a system today where some parties will charge a humongous amount of money for members to contest. How do you expect the son of a man born in massacre to be part of this process? This is an opportunity. I was national chairman. I didn't have a godfather. I didn't have anybody. I became national chairman of IPAC. And I sat in the rooms where presidents sat. This is the opportunity that this multiplicity creates. And we must be able to respect it. It does not cost Nigerian government 1 naira or 10 naira. If no money comes from, and every of these party office, you must see a second.
I'm sure that there are those who will disagree with you because when you talk about how it does not cost, it does not cost the Nigerian government. It costs INEC.
No, it doesn't cost anything.
It costs them.
Can I tell you what it is?
Just a moment. It costs them the printing of ballot papers.
Yeah, no, you are wrong.
You certainly will. It certainly will cost less to print one sheet.
It's one sheet that is printed.
That is this long.
No, I'm telling you.
That is as long as
your printing of ballot paper is based on numbers of registered voters. That is the truth.
No, just a moment.
That is the truth.
Yes,
it's not about numbers of political parties.
It is registered, it's the number of registered voters. That's the quantity you have to print.
Yes.
But it does not have to do with the, will I say, the length or the I don't want to use the word quality because it's not the quality. But in terms, it also adds to the quantity.
So do we go to differentiate people,
just a moment,
citizens of this
country? It also adds to the bulkiness. So if INEC is saying, look, we need to sanitize, we need to find a way to streamline the process. Just a moment, Ms. Scotty, if you say that this thing can go on endlessly, it can go on, infinitely, we will create problems. You don't agree?
There won't be a problem. South Africa does not have a problem. What you should do is to try to create
they have very strict rules.
What every Nigerian should push for is that INEC should conduct free and credible elections. That is the responsibility of INEC to the Nigerian electorate. That is the responsibility of INEC to deepen democracy in Nigeria. Yes. People talk about parties not being known. In 2023, Peter Obi contested under Labour Party, unknown party. I was there before he came, and people voted. Nigerians are not that daft as where we are trying to define it. Nigerians are tech savvy. The youth population today constitutes majority of
Do you know how many Nigerians voted ZLP when they were looking for Labour Party?
Do you know how many Nigerians?
I'm asking you a question. Do you know how many Nigerians voted ZLP because they were looking for Labour Party and could not find it?
I've not seen any research that suggests that it could be an opinion by one or two.
But have you seen that
people
don't get confused when they're looking at the names of the political parties?
Even if there are two parties on the ballot, there are people who will still come there maybe disoriented, disengaged, and disillusioned to be able to make mistakes. It's allowed mistakes. The only problem you do not have a mistake in 2015 is when 2 million votes came from Kano. And they said there was no voice vote, there was no council vote. It happened in 2015. It was not because that. What we need is credible election, free and fair election, opportunity for everybody, create a level playing field for all political parties.
Don't you think that this is a little extreme? Yes, why I agree that, it is your duty to canvass for the multiplicity of parties, and it is actually in your interest to canvass that particular position. Don't you think that this is actually on the very extreme? It's another extreme to say, look, we want to deregister and have only 2. I agree, but there must be a middle ground somewhere where those on the very extreme who say there must be a freedom to associate as many times as we want to, as we can multiply it to infinity. There must be a middle ground at some point where we say, okay, look, there must be rules. If you don't meet this, maybe you will not qualify. If you don't meet that, maybe you will not qualify. Or, stringent rules.
If you allow me to explain why I think that people are getting it wrong is that when you go to South Africa, you look at access to ballot.
South Africa is the only country
that's what I'm trying. America, there's access to ballot.
But even in South Africa, it's stricter.
If you allow me to get this point.
Go ahead.
Access to ballot in the sense that today we have 36 election conducting commissions. Election commissions. We have every state as an electoral commission that is created by the constitution and share the same authority. They are not an appendage to the National Electoral Commission. They are a commission on their own. If the 36 states are conducting credible elections with 774 local government and over 8,000 councillors, parties will win elections. They are doing coronation at that level. They announce the candidate of the government in power in the state. So we have a challenge. Nobody's talking about that. That's why you are seeing that there's so much concentration at the federal level for elections. And when you talk about the issue of federal elections, and you talk about political party participation, it is not as if people want to just come and participate. It is that sometimes there are rules and regulations within this power-breaking political party that disenfranchise many people. And if you now wake up and say, oh, let's leave these people and let them go, you are going to be creating problems because people don't have where to engage. People don't have where to express themselves. People don't have opportunity or platform to come to TV station and speak on behalf of their 5 supporters, their 100 supporters, or 1 million supporters. It is the winner takes it all syndrome that has driven Nigeria to this position of some parties are stronger, some parties are weaker. Okay, so by the creation of the constitution, all parties are equal before the law. Yeah, but so far so good. I think yesterday we spoke with an analyst, Mr. Jide Odu, who made a very important point, which is the fact that, as you've highlighted, that the focus oftentimes is always on the federal level, and that we need to look more at the local level, looking at also local government elections. And it would seem that, according to him, that INEC is beginning to respect that and doesn't interfere until all of the local government elections have been conducted. Maybe that's when they can actually say, okay, this party did not qualify. So do you think that perhaps what we should be looking at is the threshold
you know, making sure that all of the elections are conducted before we can actually jump to any conclusion to say that this party is not exactly viable as a political party?
For me, I think there should be access to ballot. That if the local government elections and councillorship elections are free and fair, those who win 5 councillors can move to local government. Those who move, if you don't win, you can remain at that level. I do not believe in deregistration. You can remain at that level and continue to participate at that level. Gideon Ojo is part of the civil society group. There was a time when the National Assembly said they are going to be checking account of the civil society. There was protests everywhere. They didn't agree. They almost went gaga. If the political party goes through audit by INEC, they go through 2 stages of audit, internal and external. So and we accepted, and political parties have accepted, and they are doing that transparently. So, but civil society couldn't even bottle up and swallow that. So the issue we are saying here is that there's a challenge with our democratic participation.
I thought he was speaking for you.
No, it wasn't speaking because I've seen him in the past. He's my friend. When he talk about the parties are too, the electoral process is too weighty because they are multi-party, there are too many parties in the system. A lot of them said that, but because they have never been in the system, they have never participated in that arena, they do not understand the importance of creating choice, of making sure that people have opportunity to I've met people in this system. In the networking that it creates with multi-party democratic system is you can't even define it. There are people that you see that are, following governors today, that when they form their party, they look as the party is not going to survive, but the party has 2 governors. Okay. So we need to create that opportunity for children of the poor, for children of young people, of people who do not have godfathers, or people look at today. People contest election, their former governors, their son is going to be House of Rep. Their former this, their son. So when are you going to get opportunity if you don't create the multi-party democratic system and allow free and fair election to thrive? Our focus should be free, fair, and credible elections.
So just so we're clear, you want that part of the constitution removed. You want it scrapped.
It is antithetical to the conduct of democratic
practice. Because you said you're standing against the undemocratic deregistration of political parties.
That's my stand.
And I saw the poem. You put Pastor Martin Nimola's poem up on social first they came.
We should not be speaking selectively.
So what you want the Nigerian people to rally behind you.
To rally behind the survival of their political party. It is for their own best interest, for the best interest of their children. Because if you continue to reduce and conscript the space in a way that is going and becomes two-party system, you will find out that they would give you criteria next time that if you have to be a national working committee of a political party, your father would have been a governor. Okay. So that's the way we're going to.
You're running for political office, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm running for Senate in Kogi East.
How's it going?
It will be left for our people. And
you've gotten the mandate.
Yes, I have.
You've gotten the ticket of your party.
Yes, I've gotten it.
So you're running for senator.
Yeah, I want to go and make laws, because some of these laws that have been made are made by people probably who did not pass through this process that we have passed through. Because what we want to do is to be able to speak for the people, create laws that will drive inclusivity, that will improve on our fiscal responsibility, and make sure that public money is meant for the masses. It is not meant to buy bogus, to spend on luxurious items that will favor only those in power.
Mm. Well, we'll see how because I mean, clearly you must have some confidence in INEC for you to be a part of this particular process. I do not know how your party was able to handle its own primaries without rancor. I don't know if you were also keenly observing what was happening within other political parties, and how do you think it's going to affect you or your chances?
I think there are challenges still within party management, and there's still, if you look at some of the aspirants could be very desperate. Some of the party officials could also be very self-centered, but holistically speaking, the parties have managed very well their affairs based on the hasty nature of the primaries that have come on board. Even the hasty way that people were asked to submit their electronic party register to INEC within the space of 1 month, and you see that every party, to all the 22 parties registered in Nigeria, met up that dynamic. So we should commend the political parties so far for what they've done. But for me, my center of everything is that I was happy that we have a professor right now, a law and an SN, who had to request for a stay of execution of the illegal order granted by the Justice Peter Liviu at the Federal High Court. At the time of Yakubu, he went further to try to look for a way to make sure the party were deregistered, despite there was an existing law. So we must commend the INEC for the new way they are seeing that setting some of these judgment and others should be obeyed. But going forward, we need to have a system that is balanced, a system that accommodates all, and a system for INEC. I also believe in the unbundling of the commission. I think the commission is overburdened. I believed it from the time I read 2008 Justice Uwe Electoral Reform Panel report, 2011 Justice Lemu Electoral Violence report, and all other reports, because In every country you go to, including Sierra Leone and other countries, you find out that you cannot have your commission perform so much tax. They're in charge of elected related offenses. You know, there's no tribunal to handle that. They're in charge of delineation of constituencies. They are in charge of political party registration. They are in charge of political party regulation. They are in charge of elections. They are in charge of a lot of things. So if this independent National Electoral Commission, it should be meant only for that purpose only. Let them come, make arrangement for election. They will have enough time. Now, INEC is in a hurry to try to conduct an election. An election finished 3 years ago. So if its responsibility is to conduct the election, they would have been preparing ahead of this time. But because they are also bottled up with so many activities, so they always miss the goalposts when the time comes.
Just to also say that it's not every 3 years. I mean, on Saturday, there will be elections in Ekiti, and we've been seeing the campaigns happening. So we also always have these off-cycle elections. How optimistic are you? Because this is going to also be an indicator as to how the 2027 elections will go. That given the process we've seen so far in Ekiti, we're actually up for free, fair and credible elections in the state.
You know, election is not just a one-day affair. It's a pre, during, and post
That's why I asked you about the process.
So we have seen the process as it's going. I've watched the director of Yaga speak about, you know, the disillusion the citizens in the state face because of the harsh economic reality. We'll look at the voter turnout, because voter turnout is very, very important. If you can have a population of 1 million registered voters in Ekiti, for instance, and then you have 2% of that population come out, and then the person who is declared winner is rejoicing that he has won. That majority of people have rejected the process. So we need to continue to deepen the fact that we need to have more people participating in the election, more people coming out to vote, so that the reduction in the increase in vote will show that people are really interested that democracy is thriving and delivering for the people.
I mean, I wanted to get him to talk about what's happening with the NDC, because that's your party, isn't it?
Yes, my party.
So it's still going on online, where there are supporters of presidential candidates, and then we have the party structure say, look, all of you have to be loyal to the party, and it does feel like there's a bit of problem between what the party is saying and then the supporters of your presidential candidates. Talk to us a little bit about that and how you feel about some of the issues that have come up, especially with the primaries. People have pointed to corrupt practices going on during the primaries of the NDC.
For me, I'm a living example. I did not pay beyond the nomination form. Nobody in the party pressed me to give extra money. I paid the nomination form as required, and I was given the ticket. I was elected at my primaries, and the party saw that. The party never went against my nomination because I didn't donate 100 million or 50 million to them. So the fact is that some people can go out of their way to donate to the party, and then if they don't get it, they come out to try to blackmail the party, which is not really good.
So you didn't donate any money?
No, I paid my dues, my membership dues. I'm a party man. I've been managing political party for years, so I know what to do. If the dues is 1,000, if it's 2,000, I'll pay the dues. And because if 1,000 members of the party pay their dues, there will be enough money for the party to manage its affairs. So I paid my dues, and I paid the required sum.
How much?
You know, for the form, the form I think is 3 million, and I paid. You know, so for me and with the membership, with those supporting Peter Obi, the presidential candidate, look, they are obedience. They are well-meaning Nigerians, and they are patriots that are supporting him. There are three categories: people who want good for the country, and there are people who are ardent followers of the presidential candidate. I think the party should not even lose sleep about this, because the young people today do not really operate the way we operate and the way older people operate. What they want to do is to promote their candidate. But there's no competition between Peter and the NDC leadership, or the NDC as a political party. The political party supremacy should be upheld at all times, and people should respect the party. But these are people who subscribe to become members of the party. They are members supporting Peter Obi who are not members of NDC. So it can't be an offense if they devote all their time to him. It's like a symbiotic relationship. If they are devoting their time to him, he's the presidential candidate, they are not going to vote Peter Obi on the ballot. They are going to vote the NDC president on the ballot. So if NDC is going to benefit from that process. So I don't think there's any heat that's supposed to come out of this, and I don't think that anybody should feel that Peter Obi should control his crowd. A man who has 6.1 million votes after the rigging, you are saying he should control 6.1. How is he going to reach them? People just really believe in his ideology, in the policy initiative that he has in his mind, and they are supporting him. He can't reach all of them. So if those who blame him for setting of this decision are just being uncharitable and being, how they call it, trying to be clever by half. The fact is that they are supporters of him who are not members of NDC, who are not members of the Obedient movement, neither are they members of the Kwankwasia movement. They are patriots, they are 1 million Nigerians. So what we should concentrate now is how we can drive our policy, our manifesto, our intention for the Nigerian people towards the heart of the people, so that when election comes, they will eventually vote for our candidate.
Well, we will certainly wish you all the very best as you head into the polls, into the general election. So we have to thank you very much for speaking with us this morning. Mr. Peter Ame is a member of the National Democratic Congress and also the acting national chairman of the CUPP. How is that even working? But we'll ask another day. Thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Daily. Well, that's where we draw the curtains on the program this beautiful Thursday morning. Thursday, how time flies when you're having fun. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
We've got Business Morning at the top of the hour. I'm Kayla Megwa. Have a great day ahead.